Welcome to Terra Investigates. This week I'm going to talk to you guys about EcoTrek. EcoTrek is UBC's program to reduce energy and water usage by rebuilding and retrofitting nearly 300 buildings on campus. By doing so, according to their website, UBC was able to reduce water usage by 30%, energy usage by 20%, save 15,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions, and save UBC $2 million per year. That sounds pretty good and pretty exciting, doesn't it? Well, here at Terra we wonder if more technology and more buildings and more development is actually the answer. And isn't over-engineering also part of the problem? And what are green buildings anyways? Well, to find out, let's visit the mother of all green buildings, Choi! And while we're at it, let's bring George Marquez, Energy and Green Building Manager from the Sustainability Office, and he's gonna tell us all about it. Let's go.
George!
How are you? How are you? How are you?
Good.
How's it
Hello.
going? Thanks for doing this,
No
for us,
problem.
for Terra Investigates. So today we'll be looking at the Choi.
Absolutely.
You guys tell us all about it, and finally, we'll know what are green buildings.
Absolutely. And this is actually one of the first green buildings in the world. And it really, when it was built, set benchmarks for the rest of the world and some of the features that it did include. So we'll go inside and I'll show you what some of those things are.
Great, let's go.
All right, come on in. What is a green building? I remember about 2 years ago I was going down to a green building conference in Portland and hit the border, and the U.S. border guard said, "No, where are you going? What are you doing? Going, you know, say something. I'm going to a green building conference." He said, "Green building conference?" Like, I think he thought I was going to a conference where people painted their buildings green. I'm not sure, but obviously that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about buildings that are more sustainable. So they use less energy, they use less water. For example, the building is naturally ventilated. So normally buildings have big fans that push air, bring air from the outside, push it around the building, heat it, cool it, and then it gets exhausted. And it's really a very inefficient way of heating space because air can't actually hold very much heat. And all that heat basically then gets exhausted, or a great deal of it gets exhausted. And the alternative is to actually keep the heat and recycle the air, but then you get issues of sick building syndrome, that kind of thing, where people are not getting enough fresh air. So in the Choi building, it's all natural ventilation. So the air comes in from the outside, and it comes in through these little trickle vents at the bottom of each window. And people in the office can actually adjust this to, if in the winter they don't want to get any air, they can close them or keep it open. And the air comes in, gets heated by this perimeter hot water system, but basically the air comes in, gets heated, and it starts to rise, and it basically rises all the way up the building, up 3 floors to the top floor where it gets exhausted out the top. So it's a natural stack effect because hot air rises, right? So that's how the ventilation happens. So everybody in the building gets 100% fresh air all the time. Old Armories building across the street here.
Right.
That was demolished. It was being demolished at the same time this building was being designed. So at that point in time, the design team went over there, saw the wood, let's use it, let's work it into our design. So all these beams have been reused, and you can see that the way it's been constructed is these plates, it's bolted together so that if this building is torn down at some point in the future, you just really have to unscrew those the bolts, and the beams and the posts could be reused again. So it is a matter of also not just the energy component of the building, but how it's constructed. What are the materials? Can you reuse materials? Do you use reused materials? And can you make sure that it's recyclable in the future when the building is changed or adapted?
Major challenges with reusing material, or even with just building a green building.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest challenge is when you're reusing material in a building is the timing of it. These beams that were reused in this building, they had to be stored on site because there was a delay between when that building was demolished and when this one was built. So they had to find somewhere to store the materials and keep it dry for reuse. And you also have to adapt your new design to the materials that are made available to you.
Well, because it takes so much work to actually build one of those green buildings, do you think that it's ever possible for every single building to be sustainable?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, you can put that extra effort into the design of a building, has such a big impact over the life of a building in terms of the way it's operated and the energy that it uses in constructing it, as well as in actually operating it over the life of the building. So, yeah, it's always worth it to put that effort in at the very beginning to make sure that it is as efficient as possible. Right, let's show you some other stuff in the building. We'll show you the most famous sustainable feature of this building, probably the most famous feature on campus.
On campus.
On campus.
Let's do it.
It's right here.
Wow. This is beautiful.
All right, so there it is. That's a composting toilet. Right, so it's this building has composting toilets. There's no water used for the toilet or for the urinals in here, and it really is the most asked about feature in any of our buildings on campus are these composting toilets, and people come here from all over to see them. I think things have really shifted even in the last year, especially around climate change. People are much more aware, the media is aware, the governments are talking about it, politicians are talking about it. So I think there really is a lot of action starting to happen around climate change and energy issues and water issues. You know, certainly in Australia, water is a big issue, but even here, you know, in the interior of BC, for example, the Kelowna campus, you know, Kelowna is going to be facing a water shortage very soon as well, just because of all the development and all of the water use. You start depleting that water table. So anything that we can put into buildings to help really ameliorate those impacts on the environment, those are all good things. And so we're trying with at UBC, we are trying to do that as much as we can in our